Yep, doing a talk today on breaking down a monolith. Sort of two parts to this. One is why bother, and the other is mainly kind of a developer self-help, or like basically what I tell myself almost every day when I do this stuff. Rather than use a real-world example, I've contrived a very cartoonish example, so I hope you bear with me while I take you through it. So this is Linda. She runs a successful business. It is a physical shop. So the physical shop is going to be the stand-in for the actual monolith here. And it's, it's a nice little shop. It's very successful. It's right by the roadside. So lots of people, come into the shop and see what she has for sale. And so she does very well. And eventually she decides that, we need this shop to do more things. I'm going to add a back office. And we're going to use this to manage our user accounts. We're going to store their email addresses and their actual physical addresses. And we're going to design catalogs, send them catalogs. We're going to process payments back there, do all sorts of fun stuff. And yep, that really works. That helps a lot. It helps to drive the business. They make more money. Great. Then they kind of realize, hey, you know what? We could really use a customer service department. Let's add that on to our current shop because, people really like the experience they have with us, but there's a few issues. So, let's help smooth those over. And then they decide, you know what? It's actually sometimes cheaper to keep some of our goods closer to home. So let's build a warehouse in the back. We've got a bunch of land back there. Let's add the warehouse. And then you know what? Consumer credit is pretty cheap too. So let's start a bank. Now this bank only really deals with the stuff that we're doing. And by the way, we don't have that much land left. So, the bank kind of has to share with the warehouse a little bit. The warehouse people aren't too happy about it. And really the bank people think it's kind of weird that some of them work in the warehouse. But, stuff is kind of related, right? It's still part of the same business. Then, Linda realizes, we pay a lot of money for couriers. This is terrible. This is really, we can really streamline this if we just employed our own couriers and, they can work out of an office in the back. And, we can manage it all right there. And sure enough, this all works really well. And the customers love the experience that they get when they come into the shop. They don't see any of the stuff that happens back there. They just go, yeah, this is amazing, And so, sure enough, loads and loads and loads of customers are coming. And then pretty soon we go, we don't have enough shop floor space. So let's build a second floor. And you know what? We understand that we've just added a whole second floor to this whole structure. And the structural engineers aren't too happy about that, but it's okay. We're doing okay. The business still works. We're still making money. We're making a lot of money, actually. This is great. We have a lot of customers. We can serve a lot of customers. It's amazing. But then one day you have a really big sale on, and holy shit, you have way more customers than you thought you were ever going to have to deal with. And some of them break through the floor, and your structural engineers were right, this shit didn't work, and you've got to close the shop for 2 days, which is terrible. Now you're losing money, right? You're not you're not able to serve those customers for 48 hours. It's no good. Linda's very unhappy, and so everyone kind of gets in a room and they get together and go, we don't want this to happen again. This is terrible, right? You can't run a business like this. What if this happens every day? And we want this to happen every day. We want more customers, Right now we look like this. We don't want to look like this. I love this picture, sorry. So we all sit in a room, and the structural engineers and Linda and everyone kind of gets together and go, right, how do we solve this problem? It goes, all right, if we kind of have all these little separate domains here already. What if we kind of split them out? And I know that I've now drawn this metaphor way past, where I should have. But I'm almost done with it. what if we take these little shops and split them out, and they can kind of operate autonomously? They can even like do their own things at some point if they want to do. You know, this is meant to say bank, not factory. I apologize. That's a bank. You know, the bank could operate separately over here, and you know, you could have 3 delivery offices instead of just the one. You know, and you wouldn't really care, right? So you hire a bunch of engineers, and they come in, and first day on the job, they look at this. And they go, right, your job is to untangle this mess and figure out which one of these we want to split out first. And you're never allowed to close any part of the business down ever. We are a 24-hour business. This needs to be operational all the time. Okay. So you go, okay, well, let's start with delivery. Delivery looks like the one that we're going to split out first. But here's the thing. When an order comes in, somebody has to walk through here all the way through into there to get to delivery. Hand walk the delivery notice into there. All right? And you need to let your customers know when you ship the stuff out, you know, which at the moment, you're folding up the delivery notice into a paper airplane and throwing it over at customer service, and then they go and they let the customer know, yeah, we shipped your thing out. You know? Also, before you can do any of the stuff, you need to see, hey, do we actually have any of the stuff in stock? Can we actually ship it out? So at the moment, person sitting in the delivery office goes, you know, hey, you know, Frank in the warehouse, do you have this thing in stock? And Frank goes, yeah, I got it. You know, so that's not going to work either. You know, if you've got delivery somewhere else, that's not going to work, right? So what's going to happen when you're not attached to the building anymore? Okay, so this is our brand new delivery micro shop. You install a bunch of fax machines that automatically send, you know, orders out to the delivery office. The warehouse installs a new system. You can query their stock levels. We put Frank out of work because we don't need him anymore. Sorry, Frank. And you automatically notify customer services when you ship stuff out, right? So you've built effectively a messaging system, right? So let's get away from this terrible metaphor now. It's done, I promise. We're done. So, right. Messaging between shops is the biggest immediate hurdle. You still need to extract all the stuff, all the other parts of the business, and you need to do all of this without closing any of your shops ever. But you have made, you know, a first stab at this. It's kind of worked. Some of it's not really been great, but you've started. You know, it's gone okay. So I've been here for about a year, and when I started, I thought that these were all technical problems that we were trying to solve. And I think what I've come to realize in the last few months, at the very least, is that breaking down a monolith is a business and a people problem first. Technical problem last. If it was a technical problem first, it'd be easy, right? You just rewrite everything. You know, throw everything away and start over. You know, but we can't do that, right? Because we have to stay up 24 hours a day. You know, we have to run the actual business. So I've come up with a few sort of guidelines for myself. Some of them are emotional support guidelines. Some of them are, you know, more, you know, helpful. So microservice extraction, it's driven by business, right? Business requirements, right? So for example, we need to be able to serve more users without the site going down, right? That'd be nice, right? Okay, let's put the site behind a CDN. Yeah, geolocation doesn't work if you put it behind a CDN. Well, we can build a geolocation microservice, right? That's the business goals driving the actual service extraction, right? Makes a lot of sense. So, to my mind, when do you build a new service? One of 3 things, maybe a combination of these 3 things, maybe there's more, I don't know. You know, is there a new feature request? Is the existing implementation too costly? So is the thing that we're running right now costing us way too much money? Can we do it more cheaply? And you know, hey, our current tech is really kind of end of life right now. This just isn't working anymore. We need to replace it. Those are kind of the 3 things that I've come up against. There's probably more. I'm happy to hear more if anyone has any. And then how, right? And as a developer, I like to kind of go, right, this is the technical implementation, right? This is how we solve that right away. And I think that I'm slowly coming to realize that that's probably the last part of all of this. So I think the approach that has made sense for me so far, and this is totally still a learning process for me, but it's totally a case of identify what the dependencies are, and that that could be a technical thing, that could be a business thing, whatever. Try to figure out, just like spitball, like how big is this problem going to be? How costly is it going to be to solve this? And then just go and have conversations with people. Go have conversations with people on the tech floor, different parts of the business. I like, those are things I hate talking to people. But you have to do it. As part of this job. Unfortunately. And then come up with a plan and implement the solution, right? So the thing about that is that only the last one of these is actually technical, right? Right. So this is how I feel about a lot of this stuff. I think a lot of people probably do as well. I don't really like doing this stuff. I'm a developer. I'm not a business person. I don't really care about businessy stuff. I want to write code. I don't want to have conversations about stuff. I don't want to do this. But the thing is, somebody's going to make these decisions, right? Somebody's going to end up doing this stuff. And if you're not in the room, then you might end up in a situation where you don't like the decisions that have been made, right? So my advice to myself and other developers who feel this way is get good at talking to the business. Get good at talking about this stuff. And it is tough. Breaking down a monolith takes a while. It's hard work. It sometimes feels like you feel a lot of exasperation. This isn't worth it. But if you really think about it, you actually make a lot more progress than you actually think you do. So if you think back, hey, where was I 6 months ago? Where was I a year ago? You've actually made a lot of progress. I have, at least. I hope everyone else feels that way. So yeah, software is hard. It's all about iteration. Sometimes it's okay to have more conversations and write code. Hopefully not all the time, but sometimes you got to do that. Every new solution will throw up new problems. So you might spend 3 weeks on something going, yeah, fix this. We're doing great. And then all of a sudden this thing blows up in your face and you've got another 3 months of work in front of you. That could happen. It happened to me. But it's part of the job. You do it. And yeah, just make everything a little bit better every day. And don't be afraid to sometimes just say, I think we should just kill this whole thing, rebuild it from scratch. Sometimes you got to do that. Most of the time you don't, but sometimes that is the right thing to do. That's it.
So, in a previous slide,
yes,
I run my own business where I go and do consultancy stuff, and one of the taglines I used, which was very effective with business people, was that 80% of software development is communication and 20% with writing code. In fact, even writing code quite often is about communication.
Yeah.
Actually communicating to future self, to future others like you.
Right.
I'm kind of curious, so I've always found it relatively easy to talk to the business. What is it that you think is the barrier for developers to talk?
I don't know. I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for myself. I think speaking for myself, I'm a little bit of a shy person, a little bit of an introvert. So I don't love talking to people I don't know that well, and so that I think possibly is a barrier for me, and perhaps other people who are of similar disposition to me. So.
I'm interested as to why you put so much emphasis on so the talk is really about how breaking down the monolith. So we're talking about a monolithic application that needs to be made simpler, so for reasons so more reliable, so it can scale and stuff. And you say, okay, a lot of this is about going and talking to We know what the use cases are. And we are simply, when we're talking about breaking down monolith, we're talking about restructuring code so that it fulfills the same use cases. But the gains that you're after are architectural gains. They're within the domain of the technical department.
Yeah.
So how much talking to business do we need to do to do a refactoring against
So this is really interesting, right? I haven't yet come across something where I haven't looked at it and scratched my head and gone, what the hell does this do? You know, why is this a thing? And then you dig into it and you go around and you have conversations and you realize that, yeah, this is a thing that the business uses that nobody that you work with had any idea even existed, you know? And quite often it's a thing that makes the extraction more difficult, more complicated. And so if it's as you describe, right, I know exactly everything about the business rules and the business logic here about how this works, then yeah, it probably is simpler. It probably is just a technical issue, right? But I haven't been here that long, but I have yet to see one of those.
So, okay, so here's the question, reframe it slightly.
Sure.
We've got a moderately well-built monolith that has a lot of virtues in it, including quite a lot of testing and quite a lot of future testing. Wouldn't we expect to see those business rules expressed in future tests? And is there something about the way that the future tests are structured or something about a perspective that's missing from the testing strategy that kind of makes, you know, because in an ideal world, you go, well, of course I know that, you know, somebody has to walk through the warehouse and check this thing against the delivery note because it's here in this two-gun test.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, maybe. You know, how do you surface that stuff? You know, how do you as a developer find that stuff? How do you figure that stuff out? You know, I have been mulling over the idea myself that perhaps our feature tests should be an external, you know, framework of sorts that we apply to the whole of our, you know, technology stack. That's a pretty big project, but you know, yeah, I think that sort of external testing, you know, feature testing would be extremely helpful to help define your business rules. Right? But right now, that's like, at least for us, that lives in, you know, the monolithic application.
So yeah.
Sure, go for it.
But as I worked out previously, we came to this understanding, kind of a heuristic that was that the only reason for writing a testing cucumber specifically was that you're going to express a business rule. So a testing cucumber expresses a business rule, and if you have a business rule that you want to implement, then it has a cucumber test.
Okay.
So what you're aiming for is heuristic, what you're aiming for ideal is kind of a one-on-one correspondence between the two.
So I've got a question for everyone in the room now, which is very specific to us. Who here has read all the keep output for our test suite? Well, the whole point of that test suite is you produce human output, and you read it, and it describes the software. Yeah. It describes all those business rules. Who here has ever done that?
Right. Nope. So nobody's raised their hand.
There is an argument that maybe the test suite may be overstated. It's a value.
Yes.
Question from Slack.
Okay.
What happened to Linda?
That's
the ending like The Shining or The Princess Bride?
I don't remember how The Princess Bride ends. I would hope that Linda, who runs a successful business, right? Remember that. You know, it's when you're on the inside and you can see the dirty, nasty stuff where you're like, oh, this is terrible. But you know, from the outside, customers love it. You know, she makes a lot of money. So I would hope that she continues to make a lot of money.
like seeing that analogy is competitive shops starting up over the road, and where she once had sort of like best,
Yeah.
whereby she grew with sort of key business sort of model that she sort of had some faith in, and was able to grow at such a rate.
Wow.
And it got to that big stage, and all of a sudden, somebody over the road was doing the same, got the same idea. It's not a fresh idea anymore. All of a sudden, they're sitting on top of this. How does that play out?
Yeah.
What's the best course of action then? Because we're not quite as competitive as we want to work. It's a business handle.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's one for next time.
Yeah, it's where my
Okay. Cool. Thank you.